Hey guys, this should be a quick one. Just wanted to make some quick points on the new OnePlus Nord phone. So OnePlus just recently released the Nord, which is their kind of return to form of a sub $500 price point. It's a really compelling phone and most of the early reviews are quite positive. So it's pretty exciting that we're getting good phones under $500 again. But one of the points that's been made a couple times is comparing it directly to the iPhone SE and saying it is the iPhone SE for Android. And I'm not so sure I follow this logic. So while the pricing is quite comparable to the iPhone SE, I think that's where the comparisons really end. The iPhone SE at its core is basically a very old design refreshed with a lot newer specs. The OnePlus Nord, on the other hand, is a quite modern design, but the specs aren't quite top tier. So instead of the Snapdragon 865 that we've gotten used to for most flagships this year, we have a Snapdragon 765G, which is actually more comparable to the Snapdragon 845 or 855 in terms of performance and specs. Now, thankfully, the Snapdragon 765G does have 5G support, so it might have a little bit more future-proofing from a network side. But unlike the A13 chip that you'd find in the new iPhone SE, I don't expect the Snapdragon 765G to last nearly as long from a performance standpoint. Because of this difference, I wouldn't make the direct comparison to the iPhone SE in anything but a price comparison. Actually, I would make the comparison to instead this. This is the OnePlus 7T, which is OnePlus's flagship phone from a year ago. The OnePlus 7T has frequently been discounted to $499 on OnePlus's website, and it has a Snapdragon 855 Plus processor, which should be significantly more competitive than the 765G in everything but network. One of the biggest frustrations that people have with the OnePlus Nord is that it's not going to be available in the United States, at least in the near term. But I don't think that's such a big deal because the United States does have access to the OnePlus 7T. So if you're a big OnePlus fan, you should look into the OnePlus 7T instead, or if you have the money, look into the 8 or 8 Pro. Now, I'll admit I'm making a lot of assumptions on the performance and the usability and the experience of the OnePlus Nord before I actually get it in my hands. And I wouldn't say the conclusion is for you not to buy it. I just don't think it's going to be as breakout as a phone as a lot of people are building it up to be. Now, this whole situation isolates a big problem that Android manufacturers have. Unlike Apple, who manufactures their own chips, Android manufacturers don't have their own processors that they can market. And so therefore, they're beholden to Qualcomm releasing compelling smartphone chips for low prices. And there have been very few instances, namely the Poco F2 Pro that I reviewed last week, where a manufacturer was able to offer a flagship 865 processor for less than $500. And that's likely going to stay the case unless the manufacturers cut other corners. OnePlus cut a number of different corners when making the OnePlus Nord, the most notable of which being the processor. Apple, on the other hand, cut everything else when making the iPhone SE. I know this difference might seem like nitpicking at this point, but I really think there's not many people who would look at an iPhone SE and compare it side to side with a OnePlus Nord and not be able to make a quick decision. They are very different phones in their mentality and their approach. I'm excited to get the OnePlus Nord myself so I can test it and hopefully it will suspend any disbelief that I have. If you think I'm missing something with the OnePlus Nord, be sure to let me know down in the comments. Until then, I'm going to be reviewing the OnePlus 7T released last year in my 2020 review of this sub $500 phone. Be sure to stick around for the next couple of videos and you'll see my review. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.